working with the local church to take the hope of Christ to every student in the United States. This is First Priority. Now here are your hosts, Steve Chirico and Brad Skelling.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the First Priority Podcast. My name is Brad Skelling, and I am happy to be recording with Steve Chirico today. My Steve, as I've come to know him and love him. And, it's a new leaf that we're turning over this spring.
Are you already causing edits? Unbelievable.
There are no edits on this podcast. You know that. Tiana loves
Unbelievable.
Yep. I call them social media posts, not edits.
Oh.
So.
And I am the Steve, and I too am glad you're here with the Brad.
Yes.
What are we talking about today, Brad? What are we doing?
We're talking today with our good friends, Steve Snapp and Jeff Stanford, who are over in Springfield, Missouri. And we're going to hear their stories. We're going to get to know them a little bit. Many of you already do know them. Maybe you saw them last October at a line. Maybe you'll see them this spring at the spring meeting. But we wanted you to hear them right now and get to know what God's doing a little bit.
You talking about Springfield, Missouri, the home of that large university, Evangel University?
The university called Bass Pro Shops, where you learn everything you need to know about pontoon boats.
That one too.
That's where we
Tracker, home of Tracker. Exactly right.
Yes.
Exactly right. Well, let's welcome to the show. What's up, guys?
Yeah, gentlemen.
What up?
It's good to see you today.
It's also the home of cashew chicken. So you can get the education of that too.
I need the backstory of that.
700 Chinese restaurants in town.
Okay.
So interesting. It's the home of Picklemans for me. Let's go. I'm hungry. It's lunchtime. Let's freaking go.
Fried chicken and gravy all day.
Brad doesn't even know what Picklemans is. That's the sad thing.
It's a restaurant that last time I was in town was 20 minutes away, and I wasn't driving that far.
Sad. Very sad.
It was. I walked next door to the Red Robin instead.
You stayed in the wrong part of town.
That goes against my morals. Usually when I'm in town, I try not to eat somewhere where I can eat in Spring Hill, Tennessee, and I did it anyway.
You failed.
Fail.
I did. Sorry.
Well, Brad, the boys are in Springfield doing Ozarks. Let's talk a little bit about them and that, and where do you want to go with this thing, man?
Well, let's have them introduce themselves one at a time. And, we can start with Jeff, since you're the director. And introduce yourself, who you are, where you are. Well, we already know where you are. Family. Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff Stanford. Been living here in the Ozarks since 2020 and served with First Priority of South Florida, overseeing the West Palm Beach area. And then we moved up here and, married for just a few months over 25 years now and two great kids, Courtney and Austin. God's good, man. There's some great things happening in our house and our family, man, kids are coming to Jesus in First Priority clubs across the area, and we're just super, super excited.
What do you do for fun these days?
What do I do for fun these days? I love going on long walks with my wife wherever we go. And there's no beach, so I can't say long walks on the beach.
Not anymore.
No, we like going on walks on the weekends. Just the two of us, dabble in woodworking a little bit, just kind of create something and finish something. And
love it.
Of course, everything's University of Texas Longhorns, Hook 'em Horns, and
Thus ends our podcast.
You said that was great. Good talk.
Good stuff, buddy.
I'm going to ask you to build some cabinet doors for me, but I wouldn't trust it anymore.
You got a father-in-law to help you with that.
That's
Father-in-law and a father. Yep.
Wow.
Both. I could help me with that. So, Mr. Snapp.
Yes, sir. Steve Snapp. Lived here my entire life for the most part, all but a couple years. Married. I'm coming up on a 21st anniversary here next week. Thank you. I remembered. Two kids as well. Got Kelsey and Sophie. And fun fact, 2 grandbabies, Kingston and Selah. So
congratulations.
Love spoiling them and sending them home, man. This is like the ultimate payback. It's great.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Man, just
Mark.
so yeah, so just man, rocking the dad and the pops life here, and try to get out and play a little golf here and there, which
Okay.
sadly I don't do often. But Jeff, I had him caddy, but he complained that it was too hard or whatever. I don't know. Um, so yeah,
It's good. Good. Got to check the humility level, right? You're really servant leader or no? Yep. Did you do that before you applied for the job or after you took it?
after.
After? Okay. Good.
Yeah, you want to know why it's so tiring is because I'm just constantly walking in the woods looking for his balls.
Truth. Truth. There's no lie there.
I love it.
Love being a part of the team, man, and just pumped of what's going on here in our public schools. Like I said, I went to public school here. My wife's a public school teacher. Just love the mission, vision, everything about it, and fired up for what's to come.
What'd you do before you joined with First Priority? How long ago did you join First Priority, and what'd you do before?
Came on staff in January of this year, so I'm fresh. I'm new blood here to the team.
2025?
2024.
There you go.
Yes, 2024, January of 2024 came on the team. So before that, kind of wore many hats per se. Had a barbershop for 13 years, cut a lot of heads, not literally, but
Straight blade?
What's that?
Did you use a straight blade?
Absolutely, man. I was
Nice.
a barber. Okay, like
Okay.
I was Floyd the barber.
Nice.
Fun fact, I'm bald as well, so that was always the fun joke. Give me a haircut, but not like yours. Someone like Cherry would say that, but
You would.
yeah, a lot of straight razor stuff. Did sales, have a sales background,
Okay.
outside sales. Just being relational is kind of my deal, and really wanted more. And God opened this door to First Priority, and here I am.
I love it. I love it. What do you love the most so far?
Wow. Oh man, just
Other than Steve Cherico and Jeff Stanford.
well, say how do you? Well, and you, man, don't leave yourself out, Brad.
Oh, thanks.
You
I feel
know,
honored.
you are loved. Well. No, the stories, man. You just going to these clubs and seeing students get up and just have the courage and boldness to just share with their peers, with their a lot of these students that come in, they don't even know that well, but they're just up there sharing the love of Jesus with their friends, and seeing more people come and seeing eternity change for a lot of these students is just so cool.
Yeah, I agree. On my other screen over here, I was looking at some of the app reporting coming in because we often talk about that on there. And this one was simple. We had 2 students share their salvation story. When did you come to know Jesus? And how often do students get asked for that?
Right.
Never, right?
Right.
But they get the opportunity with First Priority, and yeah, not only are those 2 students' lives changed, all their friends' lives are changed. So
That's right.
it's good stuff.
Love
Good stuff. Jeff, what'd you do before First Priority?
So I was a full-time student pastor for 12 years and saw my ministry grow out of my students leading in their First Priority clubs. And then in 2011, 2011, First Priority South Florida was like, hey, we need a director for the Palm Beach County area. And at the time I was like, hey, I was looking and wanting to see that happen. And so sure enough, turn around and we just started running with First Priority down there in South Florida. And
Nice.
Then 2018, my brother-in-law decided to uproot him and his crew and move to Springfield to open the local Geico office. He wanted my wife to come work for him. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And so
You're moving to Springfield. That's what you're doing.
yeah. yeah, the boss said we're moving.
That's right.
Yep.
But it was all God's timing. It was one of those kind of God moments where he was just kind of like, you got two really good options here, and just pick one, and it's going to be great. And so we visited out here, and met with some student pastors, and kind of leaned in a little bit to where they are and what kind of the culture is, the lay of the land here in the Ozarks. And they're like, man, we need first priority, something like first priority, really, really bad. And because here's the snapshot of the Ozarks, 30,000-foot perspective. It's the buckle of the Bible Belt, and home of the Assemblies of God. You got Evangel University, you got Mission University, home of the Baptist Bible Fellowship International. Feels like there's a church on every corner. But once you kind of get here and you start living here, you start seeing the lay of the land, it's far from the buckle of the Bible Belt anymore. And it's a very, very lost place. The de-churching of this area is happening rapidly. And the local church is struggling to figure out what to do. And so anyways, we're just here now, and making an impact on the kingdom, and seeing God move and work in the next generation. A lot of people here think that politics is the answer to it. Having conservative school boards and conservative city councils, but we're like, no, that's not going to change the culture. That can put a Band-Aid on something, but reaching the next generation is what's going to change. And so saying, hey, we're going to work from the inside out. We're going to see students reach students, and that's what we're seeing. That is what's getting people here excited and fired up, is seeing that students are sharing the gospel with their friends, and their friends are coming to Christ. And that's something that honestly hasn't happened here. There's great Bible club organizations that are here, that are doing good things, but it's all the Christian kids who are just they're, hey, we're having a Bible study, or we're having some worship time, and all that's wonderful and great, but all that's safe. It's safe for a student. I can go kind of be around people who are like-minded, doing the same things, but first priority is really challenging them to get out of their comfort zone and say, 90 to 95% of my school doesn't know Jesus. They may know of Jesus. They may say where they're going to go Christmas and Easter, but it's one thing to have a head knowledge of Jesus. It's another thing to actually know him. And so that's what we're doing.
Love it. I'll keep going if Steve's not jumping in. You
Keep
sold
going,
insurance.
man.
You came in 2020, middle of COVID. Sold insurance for a while. What'd you learn in the insurance industry?
That insurance stinks. And it was really weird. And honestly, it was, it was fantastic. Great experience, learning the ins and outs of that, obviously learning the ins and outs of business,
cold calling,
selling, that kind of stuff, and building relationships with people, getting out there, networking, obviously, because you're like, hey, you're an insurance agent, you've got to generate business, which means you got to get out and you got to go meet people and you got to be involved in things to do that, and so. But what was fantastic about it was, we have an owner we have two owners. There's two owners in the Geico office, Chad and Trent, and super high capacity guys, who just built a great culture of, we want to raise you up and send you out. We know that you're not going to be an insurance agent at Geico your whole life, and creating that culture of like, hey, we're going to build you up, we're going to pour into you, we're going to give you the tools and resources you need to go out and do what you really are passionate about and want to do. And so part of their coming alongside with me was like saying, hey, we're going to help Jeff in some of these areas that he's weak, and we're going to help launch him out. And that was a great thing to have happen. Now, granted, it was horrible because at the same time I'm there, rates just went through the roof, and now you're having to really figure out, okay, how am I going to get out there and generate and make things happen? And, other than just like, okay, we're the least expensive insurance company in town. Everybody's just coming,
Yeah.
which wasn't the case. People
Yep.
were saying no. They were saying no because everybody. So this place over here is less expensive,
Yep.
and so having to work through that.
Sounds very similar to what we hear with church networking. People saying, no. You'd think, hey, yeah, everybody wants insurance. Every pastor wants to be networked with other churches. Well, no, that's not the case, right? So very similar, a lot of parallels between the two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And really honestly here, it's been a lot of relationship building. And it's been interesting, obviously Missouri's called the Show Me State, and being here now for almost 5 years now, and First Priority going for full time for almost 2. There's a lot of wait and see.
Yeah.
Are you still going to be here in 2 years, 3 years, 4
Yep.
years?
Yep.
Are you are you just going to be the next flash in the pan and move on? And the answer is no, because the great part about First Priority is we are all about the local church.
Yeah.
And it is local church ownership across the board. Student ministries, students, teachers, financial partners. They're all part of the local church, and
Yep.
they had that. They're the ones that own it, and
Mm-hmm.
they're the ones that are in there leading it and running it. As I say, we're just helping them connect the dots and giving them all the resources and tools possible,
right.
and training to go do that.
That's why Cherico has it so easy, because it's a great day to be a volunteer.
Wow, that was excellent, Brad.
Throw that in there.
Hey, Snappy, we've talked about some of the wins and some of the things that are going on. Tell us a little bit about some of the moments that you hit, which were, I don't want to say unpleasant, but were learning moments for you because things didn't go the way that you had been trained for them to go, or things were not working the way you thought they would, and adjustments you guys had to make as a team as you were building out that new area.
Yeah. So I would say, it's a very simple strategy and process per se, but, it doesn't go as quick as I think I want it to go sometimes. Just having the elements of students and teachers, right? It takes time to build that relationship, and it takes a little bit of time to get the ball rolling in a lot of these schools. And like Jeff mentioned earlier, just the relationship piece of, these people want to know who we are. They want to know what the ministry is about and this and that. So, in my mind, like, we can just get these clubs going real quick. Sometimes it happens like that, but man, it's a reminder that, give it to God and let him, orchestrate. Kind of, we do our part, but give it to him, and and he's going to open those doors where they need to be open. So, just really developing the relationships with the people, and don't try to break the door down, but walk in the doors that God's open. So
That's a really good word. Nice job. Hey, Jeff, so building off that a little bit, one of my favorite things to ask our guests is tell us a story. Tell us about a student that the light bulb turned on. Tell us about a youth pastor they just had heard so much shuck and jive, right? They weren't in on the front end. They wanted to see the show me thing. Like, tell us a story or two that's come out of your 2 years of full-time work plus the part-time work you did before.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just going to right off the bat, I think it's, Bella, who's our student leader at Parkview High School, last summer, last school year, she was doing everything she could to get out of Parkview. Very rough school, fights and drugs and gangs and, the whole, 9 yards and everything you kind of have with the, quote unquote inner city school. And so she's trying everything to get out. She's trying to transfer to any high school in town, trying to move to a different community to go to a different school. And the doors just kept getting shut for her. And so she's at camp, and random student who goes to Parkview with her comes up to her and says, "I don't think God's done with you at Parkview."
Hmm.
And so it's kind of like hit her hard. And like, okay, like, what does that mean? And then shortly after, her student pastor comes up and says, hey, we want to start this club called First Priority at Parkview. Would you want to lead it? And that was it. And she turned around. She just took the bull by the horns and just kind of leaned into that. She leaned into that calling of okay, God's not done with me here. And so she has, and so she shared that story. Friends come to Christ, and club's been doing great, and so it's that, and then from the church side, the youth pastor side, it's been interesting. There's a lot of youth pastors that want to. They're like going, I want to be involved on campus. I just don't know how. Because the schools here they're not closed. They're not closed to clubs and stuff being on campus, but they're closed to youth pastors just randomly coming on and eating lunch with kids and that kind of stuff. I think there's just been a handful of student pastors that are just kind of like, hey, I just want to kind of see. And it's funny. It's like we had the youth pastors that right away they're going to jump into campus and be good, right? They're your A type personalities. They're just going to jump right in. We've had some B kind of leaders, right? They're just going to kind of like, we're going to kind of feel it out a little bit, and then we're going to kind of jump in. And now we're starting to get that next round of like, hey, I don't want to miss out, and I want to jump in and be a part. And so we kind of got kind of a mixed bag of student pastors, but Anissa Shelby, who's actually at our at my home church. We go to Life Church here in Springfield, and so I've known Anissa for a long time. She interned at our church, so she knew about First Priority, and so she ended up serving in Kansas City at one of the Life Church locations there, and had got to know, oh, this is much bigger than just Springfield, and this is a much more organized, systems-based kind of group, and she just loved that. And so when she finally came here to be our student pastor last year, she's like, I want to go to Kickapoo, and I want to be there. And so she's there every week, and helping guide and coach those students to reach their campus. And I think part of that was seeing this is everywhere, and everything that they do in Kansas City that they do on campus, we're doing here. So it was like, for her, it was like very easy to be like, oh, it's not different, it's the same. And I can easily plug in.
It's really good.
Love it. What else you boys want to talk about?
There's a lot. Well, I would say we're at a pretty good moment to start landing it, Brad. Where do you want them to land this conversation?
I asked all my questions already. What do you got, Snap?
All right. Well,
I just hired for what I might say. So kidding.
So I'll do it. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
So Jeff, I'll let you answer this first. Steve, I'll ask you to answer it second. Snappy. So do us a favor, because most of us who listen, who experience this, who use this for encouragement, do us a favor. Look out 12, 18, 24, 36 months. What do you think the Lord is doing with your community right now? And where do you perceive some things will be going on? Like what's the Lord saying to you that's going to be next? Like, what is your next thing?
That's a great question. Obviously, the obvious of like, hey, we're going to have more first party clubs. We're going to be in more schools. We're working on Joplin and, heading south towards Branson and which is all part of the process. But I think looking forward, the movement of students, leaning into other students and rallying other students, and us as adults getting out of the way, I think is kind of where we see, kind of it moving in the area. And I think part of that is we have we're in such a cultural Christian area that students are wanting more than just what they normally get. And helping students, like just kind of helping them navigate. They're driving the ship, they're driving the bus, they're in the seats, they're doing it all. And us as, the adult leaders in the area, stepping out of the way and letting them run, I think is where, a couple of years down the road, things are going to happen. Our trainings, are going to be led by students. Obviously, our clubs are led by students, but trainings and social media and everything else, it's all going to be done by students. We're just going to be the ones in the background, just making sure things work correctly. We're sitting in the sound booth. They're the ones up there leading worship. We're kind of like helping them, navigate the app, but they're doing everything. They're marketing it. They're getting out there. They're the ones speaking in churches, not us. And I think that's the piece. I think that's where we see it going. To where it's like they're not seeing Steve or myself, they're seeing each other. And, because I think that's where, this generation is, Gen Alpha's moving. There's such a distrust for adults. And rightfully so. All you have to do is just look at this past election and realize I don't trust anybody that's older than me. And I've been lied to a lot about a lot of things. And so the only ones who are honest with me are my friends. And so they're leaning into each other. So I think being able just to kind of, us step out of the way, us just kind of go stand in the back and stay in the shadows and just let them run. And just kind of say, hey, here's the guardrails. Go.
Yep.
It's good. Snap, you don't have to add to that. But do you have any further thoughts on that as we kind of close this out?
Yeah. So on top of all that, it's just, man, the Parkview, talking about what Jeff was talking about earlier, Parkview, just seeing students reach students. I absolutely love that. And just a revival in all the schools. They were talking about that at Parkview, and I love this idea, and I'm going to push for this, but so there's a literal riot at Parkview last year that made the big news. Like, they shut school down, and that's just kind of part of Bella's story. So there was a literal riot. So part of her story, she said, there's going to be a revival at Parkview. And then, so last week, at our banquet, they come up, they said, we want t-shirts. It says, from riot to revival, first priority. And I was like, I think we might be able to do that. Riot to revival. And just loving the hunger, that these students are showing, not just checking boxes, but really getting in there and wanting to see lives changed and seeing their schools and their community changed. So, just want to see that in every club and every school. And I think it's getting there. And,
Well, what's interesting about what you're saying, Steve, is that this generation of student, their parents grew up on music that every artist said, I'm real, I want to be real, I want to be real. And it was a great facade.
Yeah.
And these students are not accepting the I'm real. You're either authentic or you're not. Don't tell me what you are. Sorry to pick on your state, Jeff, but show me who you are. And if you show me, then I will let you walk with me. Yep. But I don't want to hear any more about who you are or what you are, because that is the generation that has actually had these kids and are raising them. And these kids are over it. They're like, no, I'm going to be my authentic self, no matter how it fits in anybody else's box. And it's producing, as you said, it's reproducing revival in ways that we've not experienced before. And we're going to have to stop putting them in boxes of revival like is in our head, right? So I love the way you top that off. That's excellent.
Sweet.
Well, thanks, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you.
It's always good to hear the story, get an update on what God is doing in your life and in the life and the movement of First Priority. So appreciate the conversation.
Absolutely appreciate you guys, and thank you for leading the charge and help us continue to grow and just be better.
Yeah,
you guys rock.
All of our listeners rock. So everybody who's listening, thanks for listening in. And I give you
Hit the
all
subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button.
Are you the new host?
Subscribe, share, click.
Yep.
Yeah.
Subscribe,
5-star
share,
review,
get it
baby.
out
Come
there.
on, Snap.
Right.
Tell the
Come on,
world.
Snap.
Come on.
Get a 5-star review from our 10-star listeners.
That's right.
There you go. I love it. Well, until
Not
next time, everybody, thanks for listening.